I'm Nivedita Raje, and let's analyze current affairs from the newspaper that all of you read. So today's segment is based on a very appropriate and a very relevant debate that has been going on for years. It has taken a force so strong that it has become a juggernaut, right? So hello everyone, good evening. Are you all here? The session was supposed to be at 6 only. There was a technical glitch that showed you that it is going to be at 5. But like I told you yesterday, 6 बजे ही होता है, 6 बजे ही होगा. हालांकि अगले संडे ये सेशन 5 बजे होगा क्योंकि अगले संडे वर्कशॉप भी है. So let us start. Now, horizontal reservations for transgender people. This has been an issue for a very long time. Transgenders को reservation मिलना चाहिए तो कितना मिलना चाहिए और किस basis पे मिलना चाहिए, मतलब basis as in there's, we have certain provisions relating to reservation and we follow 𝗟𝗲𝗴𝗹 versus Union of India. Whenever there is a debate regarding reservation, the case law, the precedent that is followed is 𝗟𝗲𝗴𝗹. If you guys want to read it, you can read it. It's a very interesting and a very knowledgeable case and it will benefit you a lot. Ab 𝗟𝗲𝗴𝗹 versus Union of India mein, there were certain propositions that Supreme Court laid down and one of them included the ceiling of reservation which was 50%. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा था कि आप रिजर्वेशन दे दें, आपको जिसको भी देना है, डिस्क्रिमिनेटेड ग्रुप्स को, सेक्शंस को, कास्ट के बेसिस पे एटसेट्रा, लेकिन वो रिजर्वेशन 50% से ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता. तो क्वांटिटी और द क्वांटम ऑफ द रिजर्वेशन कैन नॉट बी 50% ऑफ द टोटल अपॉइंटमेंट, चाहे वो वैकेंसी कॉलेज में हो, चाहे जॉब्स में हो, लेकिन आप टोटल सीट्स में सिर्फ 50% सीट्स ही रिजर्व कर सकते हैं, उससे ऊपर आप नहीं कर सकते अनलेस देयर आर एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी सर्कमस्टेंसेस. अब 50% की सीलिंग को जो ट्रांसग्रेशन है, इट इज़ नॉट समथिंग दैट वी डोंट सी वेरी ऑफन, वी एक्चुअली सी इट वेरी ऑफन. तमिलनाडु ऑफर्स अबाउट 68% रिजर्वेशन टू इट्स क्लासेस क्योंकि वहाँ पे मेजॉरिटी जो है वो उन लोगों की है जिनको रिजर्वेशन की जरूरत है. अब ये डिस्क्रेशन स्टेट के पास है, राइट? Okay, right. So this discretion is vested to the state. They decide which particular class deserves reservation and they can give or provide reservation to that community. And if the transgression goes beyond over 50%, then they have to justify the extraordinary circumstances in order to justify that reservation. Now the Maratha reservation, the famous Maratha reservation that was turned down by the Supreme Court, was challenged on the same ground. When the Maratha reservation was incorporated, the total quantum of reservation in Maharashtra exceeded the 50% mark. Now the thing is that they justified on the same basis that there are extraordinary circumstances under which we need to provide Marathas with a reservation or a privilege of reservation. And in that, Supreme Court said that you cannot justify extraordinary circumstances, and Marathas do not seem like a community who would require reservation. Now in this aspect, in this entire case, the aftermath of the case was that the Supreme, not the aftermath, but before the case happened or after the Maratha reservation came out, the aftermath of Maratha reservation actually, the central government passed an amendment and that was the 102nd amendment. All of that I am saying is extremely important. Please keep making notes. Class कब start हो? Class start ही तो हो गई है. Right. Now 102nd amendment was incorporated by the central government. After Maratha reservation, there was an apprehension that on the same basis other states might provide their own regional people a certain reservation. Bihar might provide the residents or the people belonging to Bihar a certain reservation. There are migrants all over a state, like there are people who do not belong to a state but they are living in that state for certain reasons, job, etc. Right, and especially in metropolitan cities, Kolkata, Delhi, Mumbai, etc. So, if the state governments are continue to be given the discretion of providing reservation to the people belonging to their state, there is no telling how much the transgression might there be. If you allow Marathas to get the reservation, tomorrow the government of Delhi might provide a special privilege to people belonging to Delhi. Bihar might do the same, Chhattisgarh might do the same, Kolkata might do the same. And where would we land on a total efficiency in that manner? Only a certain handful people would be able to avail the, college preference, the college facilities and the job appointments, and the rest of the general classes would suffer a lot. And that is the reason why 102nd Amendment came into picture, and the power that allowed state government to provide reservation to the communities that were backward in their state was taken away from them. In simple words, जैसे ही, I'm only translating, I'm not adding any new information, or only translating what I said in English. जैसे ही मराठा रिजर्वेशन आया, प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि अगर इस रिजर्वेशन को अलाउ कर दिया जाता है तो इस रीजन के, स्टेट के बेसिस पे इस तरह के सारे कम्युनिटीज फिर रिजर्वेशन मांगने लगेंगे. दिल्ली के लोग अपना रिजर्वेशन मांगेंगे, कोलकाता के लोग अपना रिजर्वेशन मांगेंगे, राइट, बेंगलोर के लोग अपना रिजर्वेशन मांगेंगे, कन्नड़ रिजर्वेशन, दिल्लीite रिजर्वेशन, तमिल रिजर्वेशन एंड दिस रिजर्वेशन व्हाट. तो हम क्योंकि इस स्टेट से बिलोंग करते हैं, इसलिए हमें इस स्टेट में रिजर्वेशन मिलना चाहिए, कोई एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी सर्कमस्टेंस नहीं है. अब ये सोच के कि भाई इसी तरह से अगर आप रिजर्वेशन अलाउ करते रहे तो फिर जनरल मासेस जो हैं वो कैसे कॉलेजेस में एडमिशन ले पाएंगे, उनके साथ तो फिर इनजस्टिस हो जाएगा और आर्टिकल 14 की ट्रू स्पिरिट वायलेट होने लगेगी, राइट. आप इक्वलिटी पे लाना चाहते हैं, यू वांट टू bring every community on an equal pedestal, but if you keep giving privileges, unnecessary privileges to one community, the community that was privileged will go down and the balance will become unbalanced again. So there is no point, and that is the reason why state government's power was taken away. कि state government के पास power है अपनी स्टेट में कम्युनिटीज को रिकॉग्नाइज करने की एज बैकवर्ड कम्युनिटीज, और उस बैकवर्डनेस के बेसिस पे स्टेट अपनी ही स्टेट में उन कम्युनिटीज को रिजर्वेशन दे सकती है. ये कम्युनिटीज जनरली ओबीसी कम्युनिटीज होती हैं, अदर बैकवर्ड क्लासेस, कम्युनिटीज दैट आर backward on the basis of social or educational platforms. And if there is any special tribe or community living in that particular state which is a scheduled tribe or a scheduled caste, then of course the state can provide them with the reservation, a special reservation. 102nd अमेंडमेंट के बाद ये पावर स्टेट के पास से चली गई. अब वो अपनी स्टेट में किसी भी कम्युनिटी को बैकवर्ड डिक्लेयर करके रिजर्वेशन नहीं दे सकते थे. ये पावर सिर्फ और सिर्फ सेंटर के पास थी. सेंटर डिक्लेयर करेगा, द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, द पार्लियामेंट विल डिक्लेयर along with the president. Of course, the president will make a list, make a notification, create a list recognizing or declaring the communities which are truly backward, and then they will get the reservation on a central level. State will have no say or power in this. This amendment was challenged along with the Maratha reservation, and the Supreme Court upheld 102nd Amendment but declared the Maratha reservation as void. Now this was the entire story. Now there has been another stir, and the stir is relating to transgender communities. Transgenders have been recognized as a third gender. Now everybody knows all over the world this community has been a discriminated community. Not recently, it has been discriminated since time incomprehensible. Right, they were always treated like less than. They were never given ordinary life. They were never even given an opportunity to try to lead an ordinary life. All they could do was beg. ठीक है, वो बस they could only perform, they could dance and they could beg, and that's how they used to sustain. But as soon as the third gender was recognized, certain rights started emerging. They should be given an opportunity to work at a place if they want to. And since the community is marginalized, it is backward, it is discriminated, they need to be given a special privilege in relation to marks, because you cannot always assume that a transgender would come from a good family. A transgender might actually be a person who was dancing and begging all his life, and now he wants to do something. He is educated, but he does not have that kind of exposure or education. You need to give him certain kind of relaxation, and that's how the act started coming up. Maharashtra government and the Bombay High Court is actually considering the question of providing additional reservation to the transgender community. Now the judgment is not yet out, but the problem is implementation. How much reservation do you need to give them? what kind of reservation do you need to give them? Where all do they need the reservation? Apart from reservation, is there any other facility or aid from the government that they require, such as rehabilitation centers? Now, transgender is a group, kinder is a community. They don't let people leave that community. So if a person wants to leave that community, what are the chances? Right? So they're involved in various activities, begging, dancing, prostitution. Now if a person wants to leave all that behind, make a new life, would the community allow it? Can he do it that easily? Even prostitutes cannot leave their lives behind and start a new life, because the people around them don't let them. And that is why we have rehabilitation centers all over the country. So do we require rehabilitation centers for the transgenders community also, so that they can actually begin anew? Right? The Maharashtra government has responded that it would be challenging to implement additional reservations due to the existing reservation system for the various communities in India. Okay, and of course, if they are provided an additional reservation, the quantum of 50% would exceed. But considering the fact that it would be an extraordinary situation, this transgression might be allowed. Moving on. Now, the kind of reservation that transgenders seek or are given in the society is called horizontal reservation. There are two kinds of reservations that are there in India. We shall study both of them. The first one is a vertical reservation. So we have a vertical reservation and a horizontal reservation. Try and understand this concept properly. Vertical reservation is a kind of reservation that is given to a person because of the discrimination that he faced due to his social status. In simple words, social status is determined by various factors: education, caste, social background, which means rich or poor. So if a person is discriminated in the society because of his social status, because of his poverty status, because of his educational backwardness, because of his caste, then the kind of reservation that is offered is called a vertical reservation. Okay, so vertical reservation is a form of reservation that seeks to uplift socially and or economically underprivileged groups. Under vertical reservation, the state creates a separate class or categories within an educational institute or services and reserves seats in those categories for the section which is being uplifted. हालांकि कोई guarantee नहीं है that members belonging to that group will get a specific seat, but if they want to avail the privilege, they can. So this is what we call vertical reservation. The communities availing vertical reservation in our country are SCs, STs, OBCs and economically backward. This happened in 2019 by 103rd Amendment. The 10% reservation offered to economically backward people on the basis of their like I said, poverty, right? So SCs, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward classes and economically backward classes are the classes that are given reservation, which is a vertical reservation in India. SCs, STs and OBCs find mention under Article 15 Clause 4 and also 16 Clause 4. राइट इनका मेंशन 15 क्लॉज 4 और 16 क्लॉज 4 दोनों में ही है. आफ्टर चंपाकम-दुराई राजन वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, the government or the parliament amended the constitution for the first time, and it was the first amendment. First amendment was not only related to property, it was also related to reservation. Clause 4 was incorporated in both Article 15 and 16 so as to provide reservation to the backward classes, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. There is also a directive principle that guides a state to, facilitate an action isn't social and educationally backward. I don't understand the question. EWS, exactly, EWS, economically weak section. Are you asking me, aren't people who are socially and educationally backward getting the reservation? Is that what you are asking? To clarify, I am confused. Come back with the question. I am not sure I got the question. Then we have horizontal reservation. Now, based on their social status, based on their social background, of course, people have faced discrimination. But people have faced discrimination because of their biology also. So, people who were discriminated because of their biological background or biological status. I may have spelt it wrong. Right, so people who were discriminated because of their biology, their physical features, their physical characteristics are given horizontal reservation, right? So horizontal reservation is kind of an affirmative action that seeks to include the society which is not economically backward. No, this is not, हाँ नहीं सही है, मतलब पूरी तरह से सही नहीं है. So, horizontal reservation seeks to include the community which is discriminated or was discriminated on the basis of their biology. 15 clause 3 finds mention of that affirmative action. State can make any provision for the upliftment of women and children, and that this would not be a violation of 15 or 16. Right, 15 basically. So 15, Article 15 prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, religion, caste, etc. And now sex is one of the features on which discrimination cannot be done. You cannot give any sort of special privilege to a particular sex and treat another sex as less than. Yes, गरिमा, they would. मतलब उन्हें क्यूमुलेटिव बेनिफिट मिलेगा. अब वो ऐसा बेनिफिट नहीं मिलता, वो एकदम मतलब ये तो थोड़ा सा वो हो जाता है. रिजर्वेशन का बेनिफिट किस तरह से मिलता है ये कहना मुश्किल है. Although it is a very interesting question. So if there is a community that already has a reservation and then they have another reservation also, for example, like Garima mentioned, if a person belongs to a scheduled caste or a tribe and falls in the category of EWS as well, will he get the benefit of both the reservations? He would, but there would be a cumulative benefit that he would be given. Definitely he would be given, provided he can furnish the EWS certificate. You're not regular with newspaper, you're studying, but you haven't started mocks. Well, what are you waiting for? Start it. Start taking mocks, start reading newspapers. ये कोई समस्या थोड़ी है. रेजर्वेशन रीजन नहीं है कि तुम्हारा नहीं होगा, तुम पढ़ नहीं रहे हो, तुमने मॉक शुरू नहीं किए, न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ा नहीं है और रेजर्वेशन की वजह से तुम्हारा एडमिशन नहीं होगा. क्या बात है, ये तो बहुत ही कमाल की बात कही है आपने. मतलब आप पढ़ाई ना करें इसलिए क्योंकि अरे मैम इस कंट्री में इतना रेजर्वेशन है, मेरा एडमिशन कहाँ ही होगा, तो मेरा कैसे हो गया, इतने सारे बच्चे जो हैं उनका कैसे हो जाता है. अपने अपने इनसफिशिएंट एफर्ट को रिजर्वेशन की चादर में ढकने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जो मेहनत करते हैं बच्चे उनको जगह मिल जाती है रिजर्वेशन के साथ भी और रिजर्वेशन के बिना भी. Got it? Horizontal reservations are proportional to the population of a particular section. So people who are getting horizontal reservation would be women. Women were discriminated because of their biology. Biologically they were weaker than men, and the society was patriarchal because men were stronger, and that is why they discriminated an entire other gender, women. Women के अलावा PWDs, of course, biologically they are not as efficient, पूरी तरह से एक able body नहीं होती है उनकी, तो that transgenders. So women, PWDs, transgenders, people or community group of population that is discriminated because of their physical aspect, these people get horizontal reservation, right? So if there's 25% reservation for lower classes in central government, it will be 25% for every post that the government creates. That's a different issue altogether. Listen to Namra. नामरा क्या कह रही है? It is never too late and she is absolutely right. अभी भी अगर मेहनत करना शुरू कर दोगे, you still have August, September, October, November, 4 months. I have seen many toppers who, started studying towards the end, right before the exam, maybe 3-4 months before the exam, and they still managed to score amazingly well. But they did it with their full effort. अगर 4 महीने में भी तुम अपनी पूरी क्षमता से जोर लगा देते हो तो भी तुम क्वालिफाई कर जाओगे, मैं तुम्हें गारंटी दे सकती हूँ. लेकिन फिर इस मेहनत में ईमानदारी होनी चाहिए आपको. द मेजर फैक्ट, let me tell you a very important thing. These topics are argumentative, of course. What topic? Whenever you are preparing for something or whenever you are doing anything in life, whatever it is, जिसके लिए आपको मेहनत करनी पड़ रही है, anything that you are trying to achieve or seek, and for that you have to put in effort. The effort is never enough if it is not honest. मेहनत के साथ ईमानदारी की ज़रूरत होती है. Your effort needs to be honest. If it is not honest, you are only fooling the world, but deep down you know that your effort was not enough. Right? तो जब आप बिल्कुल ईमानदारी से मेहनत करते हैं तो उसका रिजल्ट भी आता है, 100% आता है. Right? If you're talking about these topics, they're not argumentative, they're just facts. It is not a debate, it's just a fact. I don't want to get there. I definitely don't want to get there. Okay, the number of reserved seats will depend on the number of postmates. The group would include children of veterans who are serving. Basically, horizontal aspect में ये communities ये तो नहीं included है, but transgenders को भी horizontal reservation ही दिया जाएगा. The transgenders would be given horizontal reservation. Children of veterans जिनको reservation दिया जाता है वो भी horizontal category में ही आते हैं, vertical category में नहीं आते हैं, right? क्योंकि वो backward नहीं है, socially challenged नहीं है, educationally challenged नहीं है. But the fact that their father or their parent served in the army, sacrificed himself for the nation's security is something that is to be considered, right? So whatever sacrifices that were made by a veteran in the army is something that is, that is given a consideration to the children who survived the parent. तो उनको जो reservation मिलता है वो भी horizontal ही होता है क्योंकि वो vertical की category में नहीं आता. Honestly hard work करिए तो आपको किसी भी तरह की चिंता करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. ओके, किसी भी तरह की चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं अगर मेहनत में ईमानदारी है तो. अब हमने रिजर्वेशन जो ट्रांसजेंडर्स का रिजर्वेशन है ये आता कहाँ से है? सिंस महाराष्ट्र इज ऑलरेडी टॉकिंग अबाउट इट, राजस्थान हैज ऑलरेडी गिवन रिजर्वेशन टू द ट्रांसजेंडर्स कम्युनिटी. वेयर डज इट कम फ्रॉम? व्हेन डिड वी डिसाइड कि हाँ ट्रांसजेंडर्स भी एक थर्ड जेंडर होना चाहिए एंड दे ऑल्सो नीड रिजर्वेशन? ऑल ऑफ दिस वॉज टेकन फ्रॉम अ यूनाइटेड नेशंस योग्यकर्ता प्रिंसिपल्स. The United Nations has adopted several resolutions and guidelines to promote the rights of transgender persons, such as 𝗟𝗂 principles, the UN Human Rights Council resolution, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights report on discriminatory laws and practices and acts of violence against individuals based on their sexual orientation and gender identity. So this was an entire resolution, many conferences, so many things that were happening in the United Nations. And based on that, because India is signatory to mostly everything that United Nations does, they also created several legislations in order to protect this community and also to provide them reservation. There's a difference, yes, there's a difference in the percentage. These reservations do not just differ in definition, the percentage offered to the people is also, you know, it also differs. Like transgenders communities are only provide reservation up from 1 to 3%. PWDs get reservation up till 4 to 5%. 5% in education, 4%, 5%, 4% in educational institutions and 5% in government jobs. So the percentage is definitely different. Women get reservation on अलग पैरामीटर है, किस स्टेट में कितना रिजर्वेशन मिल रहा है ये कंस्ट्रू करना हार्ड है, राइट तो लेकिन PWDs को और ट्रांसजेंडर्स को जितना रिजर्वेशन मिलता है वो मैंने बता दिया, उतना ज़्यादा नहीं मिल सकता. एक्चुअली आई एम नॉट कम्प्लीटली श्योर अबाउट इट, दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई नीड टू क्लैरिफाई माई सेल्फ विद, बट द क्वांटम वर्टिकल और हॉरिजॉन्टल मिला के 50% है या दोनों ही 50% है, दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन दैट मैं जिसका सवाल का जवाब मुझे मिल नहीं पा रहा, राइट तो वर्टिकल प्लस हॉरिजॉन्टल 50% होना चाहिए या फिर ये दोनों अलग अलग 50% हो सकते हैं. मुझे लगता है वर्टिकल प्लस हॉरिजॉन्टल मिला के 50% को ट्रांसग्रेस नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए ट्रांसजेंडर्स को और PWDs को इतना 1 to 3% ही रिजर्वेशन दिया गया है. Okay, in India, the first state to introduce reservation for transgenders person was Karnataka in 2021. A general knowledge fact that might be there in your exam. What about East India? What about East India? ठीक है, कर्नाटका में सबसे पहले ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी को रिजर्वेशन दिया गया था 2021 में. Right, so the first case that considered the aspect was National Legal Services Authority of India, NALSA versus Union of India 2014. This is the most important judicial pronouncement on the rights of transgender people in India. In this case, a bench of Supreme Court delivered a historic judgment that affirmed constitutional rights and dignity of the third community. The judgment recognized that transgender people have a distinct identity that does not conform to the binary genders, that is male and female, or yes, the court held that they have a right to self-identify their gender as a male, female or a third gender, and this right is protected under Article 21 of the Constitution, which guarantees their life and personal liberty. So the identity of the transgenders and the right to identify their gender as per their mind was something that was declared in NALSA versus Union of India in 2014. एक ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी किस जेंडर पर अपने आप को आइडेंटिफाई करना चाहती है, ये पूरा का पूरा उनका डिस्क्रेशन है. If they don't want to describe themselves as a binary gender, if they're non-binary, they can identify themselves as a third gender. So if you are filling out forms, third gender भी एक gender अब हर फॉर्म में आने लगा है, whether it is एक एजुकेशनल कंपटीशन के लिए फॉर्म है या फिर किसी जॉब के लिए. इम्प्लीमेंटेशन स्टेटस एंड लीगल प्रोसीडिंग, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने कोई स्पेसिफिक डायरेक्शन नहीं दिया है कि ट्रांसजेंडर्स को रिजर्वेशन, हाउ मच रिजर्वेशन शुड बी गिवन टू द ट्रांसजेंडर्स और इन व्हाट सिचुएशंस कैन दे बी गिवन. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने अभी तक ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी को कोई रिजर्वेशन सेंट्रल लेवल पे नहीं दिया है. देयर आर ओनली स्टेट्स हु आर प्रोवाइडिंग the communities with reservations such as Delhi, Madras, Rajasthan, etc. वो भी हाई कोर्ट्स के उस पे. Yes. However, Karnataka has emerged as a pioneer by offering 1% horizontal reservation to transgenders in 2021. बाकी states में cases filed हैं. राजस्थान में भी transgenders के लिए reservation आ चुका है. In Delhi and Madras High Court, it is still a question, a conundrum that is going on. Let's see what comes out. लेकिन अभी इस चीज़ को पूरी तरह से clarify होने में what rights to transgender community has in our country on various bases, education and public employment is still a question that needs to be clarified by the Supreme Court, by the central government and the other state high courts. So we'll await it. That's it for today, guys. You should know and understand the difference between हॉरिजॉन्टल एंड वर्टिकल रिजर्वेशन बहुत ज़रूरी है. ये ट्रांसजेंडर्स को लेकर ये डिबेट कौन से हाई कोर्ट में चल रही है, महाराष्ट्र हाई कोर्ट में चल रही है या फिर बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट में चल रही है. हु इज़ द चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट? who is the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court is your homework. Find it out and note it down. Yes, this is important for CLAT. Bihar and Bengal are doing the same. Not yet. Not yet. They're not. मैंने कहा ना भी सेंट्रल लेवल पे रिजर्वेशन नहीं आया है इन कैटेगरीज के लिए, स्टेट ने ही दिया है और वो भी सिर्फ कर्नाटका ने ही दिया है. पार्लियामेंट ने इस पे कोई भी क्लैरिफिकेशन नहीं दिया है. तो केसेस चल रहे हैं, देखो क्या रिजल्ट आता है. अगर आता रहेगा तो आपको बता दिया जाएगा. राइट, सो वी हैव लॉन्च comprehensive courses guys, and in order to get a picture of what we are doing in paid courses, you can take a 3-day trial for free. Just download the app, enter your phone number, and you can avail all the classes 3 days for free, and then you can make a decision whether or not to get a course. We're also launching certain crash courses which would help students who haven't started preparing. The crash course would also begin everything from the scratch, but it would be more of a speedy course that will end quickly, right? वो साल भर का कोर्स नहीं है, क्रैश ही कोर्स है. So we also have a marathon. It will come soon. The notification will be given to you. Next Sunday we have a workshop, and the workshop will be the strategy to guide you कि 5 महीने में अब preparation भाई कैसे करनी है. Right, so you only have 4 months remaining for your exam. What you need to do in these 4 months, अब exactly what are you supposed to do, how many mocks do you need to take, how many how many hours do you need to give, हर एक section पे आप कितना hour दे सकते हैं, स्कूल के साथ कैसे मैनेज कर सकते हैं, ये सब कुछ हम अगले संडे डिस्कस करेंगे वर्कशॉप में, which will be conducted at 6 PM. These are not enough. They definitely contribute a lot. इससे बहुत सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन आ जाती है, लेकिन ये तुम्हें गाइड करता है कि इस तरह से आपको पढ़ना है न्यूज़पेपर. ये बस एक न्यूज़ है, महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट ने क्या कहा, क्या सब कहा. राइट, तो अब लेकिन महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट ने जो भी कहा है उससे ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी किस तरह के रिजर्वेशन में आती है, वर्टिकली और हॉरिजॉन्टल, कौन सी स्टेट में रिजर्वेशन दिया गया है, नालसा केस था, यूनाइटेड नेशन की पॉलिसी पर रिजर्वेशन आया है, ये सारी चीजें जो होती हैं ये खुद से पढ़नी पड़ती हैं. तो ये आपको एक सेगमेंट देता है और बाकी सेगमेंट्स को किस तरह से पढ़ना है उसका आइडिया दे देता है. ये क्लास इसलिए है. राइट, obviously in editorial से मैं बहुत सारा चंक कवर कर लेती हूँ because I pick out only the most important part of the newspaper and I discuss them every Friday and Sunday. Once on YouTube today Sunday और Friday को ऐप पे 6 बजे ही होता है, आप उसे अटेंड कर सकते हैं. इट विल हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड द न्यूज़पेपर बेटर, शायद पढ़ने में आसानी रहे. राइट, सो दैट्स इट फॉर टुडे गाइज. स्कॉलरशिप टेस्ट हो चुका है. आई होप यू परफॉर्म्ड वेल. आज 11 बजे था. सो आई शैल सी यू वंस अगेन. बहुत जल्दी फिर से मिलेंगे, तब तक सब अपना ख्याल रखेंगे. मैराथन की इंफॉर्मेशन आपको बहुत जल्दी मिल जाएगी. प्रांजलि, आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट इट. आई एम स्टिल नॉट श्योर कि मैराथन कब होनी है. But the information regarding the marathon timing and day will be given to you very, very soon. Don't worry about it. Okay guys, take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.